Hello, I'm Dr. Wendy Rowley, and this is the Wonder of Human Design YouTube channel playlist series, How to Align to the Christ in the New Coming Death Bardo. Let's see what she has to say. These have been short and sweet, some have been longer, and you all are busy people. And here we go. Oh, good day to you, dearest beings of light. It is Aliene of Cosmic Service, a Palladian Mother of Sound. Peace be with you, peace be with you, and peace be with you. We're going to continue our speaking about the divine feminine and the new Christ Bardo infusion and the change over to a benevolent sensing for your consciousness and a changing over to a benevolent experience in the Death Bardo in the coming evolution as it gets percolated through people in 5 lifetimes, 5 generations, 500 years, depending upon where they are on the Earth system, how many lifetimes, evolutions, la la la. But in 500 years, everybody born will have these new connections within them and be part of the new system. And that's evolution. In this particular episode, which we're winding down to our last 4, we would like to speak particularly about the understanding of why is Christ being brought into the Bardo, besides these practical reasons we gave, besides the new galactic understanding of Renaissance and new information, new inventions, and how those things are brought in through divine intelligence when everything is in proper alignment in various ways. We spoke about attuning and aligning. We spoke about adding a couple new intentions in so that there were just 3 fairly simple ones. And in this one, we'd like to speak about, at the creator's level, why is the Christ healing force brought into the Death Bardo in the middle of a planetary system? Why is that? It is for evolution, but it is more than that. It is because this particular healing force, as this one has described it, it's an overarching evolutionary force of a planetary system. It's like you gave your Earth the idea of it having a consciousness, and you began to call Earth Gaia. There is an evolutionary force of the Earth that right now is the term used for it is the Christ. And it is part of an overarching planetary system of this nature. And that force, that great overarching being, it is a consciousness, came to this planet for this purpose. As strange and as far out as this seems, it is a great overarching healing force, evolutionary force, that is in alignment with the creative source and with the creative force and with the creative divine intelligence. And it works together with Gaia and consciousness, and with the consciousness of humanity out in the greater field where you plug into the planet, you come in your near perfected soul. As souls and soul groups, you usually travel in soul groups, a whole pot of you. Yeah, we're coming here, let's plug in. And the divine intelligence of this Christ energy in alignment with the divine intelligence of the creative force for a planetary system. So let us sum up. We described 3 large consciousnesses that are large beings. Beings are basically energies that have a consciousness. And there are these 3. There's Gaia consciousness, there's the Christ evolutionary and healing force consciousness, and there's the divine intelligence consciousness of the creative source. And these 3 levels of consciousness work with your large soul group consciousness out in the greater field where your near perfected souls are. So the reason the Christ is important to be brought into the Death Bardo pathway is there are many, many, many intersecting pathways of energies from your physical all the way out to the galactic quantum entanglement that you are in the greater field. And these pathways can only be upgraded through the end of life, end of incarnation, or Death Bardo. I hope the word death isn't making you feel scared. That's why we're trying to use the word end of an incarnation. An incarnation meaning I'm having a lifetime, then I'm going back to soul, then I'm having another lifetime. And so we're hoping that word, death, does not cause you fear. But if it does cause you fear, know it's coming from your old higher self Akash in your outer Taurus, or maybe you're working on some issues with death in this lifetime, such as realizing it's an illusion. We're just going to sum it up that way. You may leave this particular incarnation in this life, but you don't lose anything else. You take all that wisdom with you that you learned here. It becomes part of your soul. So let's get back on track and let her just pull back a little bit. So the understanding that there's so many of these other pathways within this Death Bardo that need to be shifted and changed, and also the evolution of these three great consciousnesses, Gaia, the Christ, and the divine intelligence creative force, work through that pathway. So when you have healing of any nature, even your physical body at night while you sleep, it comes through that Bardo over to here. So even though you're born maybe in a direction going this way, all these other things come going this way. And if you think about it, woo, 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 that's your now. That's your now moment, which is why the power of now by Eckhart Tolle, and why so many healers and everyone says, we got to get in this now moment. Ground down, align up to the cosmic, attune in your heart to the creator and the creative source. And now we know the divine intelligence of the creative force. Source, force. And force is the action, source is the place. And so that pathway, let's get her out of the way for a sec. That pathway has many profound energies in it, many profound pathways in it, some that need to be closed off because they're old and connected to the new for the evolution. But it's the pathway of these three great consciousness forces. It's how you have your love of earth. It's how you have your love of this force of creating and healing and evolving. And it's how you have this force of knowing there's something greater that you attune to, that most of the planet believes in. It comes through these pathways. In these end of incarnation, what is 3 days for you is approximately about 20 seconds from our side of the veil that you go through in those 3 days. So it's 3 days from your side for the human feeling it, as they feel you shift away, but it's 20 seconds of boom, 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 and you're back with your soul. And they say there's 3 seconds of that is maybe the fear of the end. It's not even that. It's maybe 0.5 of 3 seconds from our perspective. So 3 seconds was meant as a metaphor for those who said that. So from the understanding of that, it makes sense why the Christ upgraded in the Death Bardo is part of the midpoint of a planetary system to move on to greater evolution and enlightenment, not only as a planetary system, but as individuals and groups of humans on and within and enmeshed within that system. And so we wanted that understanding on why this pathway comes in here. Now, this one's in the background wondering, hey, what's going to happen to that little pathway that's the false Death Bardo that people go up when they have an out-of-body and a life experience as if they passed away on the table and have maybe no brain activity, no heart activity for a certain time, and then they come back. That also gets upgraded to greater benevolence, such that anyone in the future that has that will have a benevolent experience, because there are people that have reported having not great experiences in that event. And what they were hitting was past life death pictures going up into that channel. at the lower end of it, where it's connected to other layers of the human consciousness grid and their individual Akash. Heady stuff. This might be too much for some of you. You go, I got to get out of this channel. This is too much. But for those who stick with this, there is a big understanding at the end of this series that we ask you to hang in there for. Okay. So this upgrade of the Christ into the Death Bardo has that aspect in it, but it also has another. It has an aspect to bring in greater knowing, intuition, and knowing you are in alignment with the Creator. And that's necessary for evolution. You need to know that. So what does this mean? So one's already got it figured out. It means that the divine intelligence pathway of the creative force is going to upgrade our divine intelligence intuition. And that happens in 2028, 29, and 2030 with this changeover to Christ into the Death Bardo. So that humans will have a more honed intuition to source, to the benevolent plan, to the right step, to that which feels good for the greater good of all. And the other thing that will change over time in evolution is that those things that are created out of that won't get as far along in creation as they have in the past. And that's a good thing, don't you think? You won't be able to build a whole system that doesn't work out in the end and go, oh gosh, we're stuck with that. It won't go as far. And that's another thing that's very, very well understood to be needed. And that'll also be because more people will have that new divine intelligence connection as more and more people are birthed into the system, and the groups working on these things will be like, no, that doesn't feel right. I don't think we ought to do that or go in that direction, or let's try this. And aren't these things sort of make sense to have come in when you're moving toward a better and bigger and brighter and more benevolent system on your planet? And this is what we wished you to know this day. Along with that, you are dearly loved, to expect benevolence in all you do, and we bid you adieu. Peace be with you.